Hi my friends and welcome to today's reading. We're doing another bibliomancy reading, starting off with these books that I just ordered from Thrift Books. You can see I've already spilled chocolate all over this one. But yeah, I guess a little context. I have already read the two books in the middle years ago and they really helped me on my journey. I just ordered them to share with some loved ones. Just started the one on the left and was recommended the one on the right by a friend, so haven't read that one yet. So if you didn't tune in to the last bibliomancy reading I did, I will start out opening to a random page of each of the books and reading whatever's there, and then we'll pull cards from there and just see how they relate and how they inform. So as always, pick your pile, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Find your little timestamp in the description and let's get started. Hi Group 1 and welcome to your reading. You chose the book No Bad Parts by Richard C. Schwartz. No Bad Parts is written by the guy that created internal family systems. This form of therapy basically acknowledges that we have multiple personalities and like voices living within our psyche, and promotes the idea of communicating with them and hearing their needs and finding ways to honor them so that they can come back into a balanced place rather than ignoring them, trying to push them down, telling them to shut up. So if you chose this pile, you may be sort of in this place of coming into wholeness within yourself and harmony with the different parts of yourself. You may be starting a healing process, or you may be engaging in a healing process with others, someone close to you. Maybe you even are a counseling therapist. Yeah, or you're just doing some inward diving to understand parts of yourselves. So let's open to a random page. I immediately saw this. It says, different parts maintain their separateness while communicating and collaborating with each other, while the self conducts the inner orchestra. So what this is kind of touching on within the philosophy of internal family systems is that we have all of these different sort of archetypes within ourselves, but it's the true self that can really run the show. So, you know, these are all really important parts of ourselves. Like we might have an internal critic that's trying to help us stay on track, and then we also have like an internal free spirit that just wants to experience life, and we have like a nurturer part of ourselves, and their voices might sometimes be at odds with each other, but the idea is that when we come into this centered place and we let the self conduct the inner orchestra, that's like the true self, and that's the place of harmony and of balance, and it's from that place that true healing happens. I want to find where this quote is on here. Okay, I'm going to just read the paragraph that's here connected to it, just so we can go a little deeper. As psychologist Scott Barry Kaufman notes, creative self-actualizers are capable of transcending the ordinary dichotomy between the intelligence of the mind and the wisdom of the heart. They are able to throw their whole selves into their work, flexibly switching between seemingly contrary modes of being, the rational and the irrational, the emotional and the logical, the deliberate and the intuitive, and the imaginative and the abstract, without prejudging the value of any of these processes. This is an excellent description of the flexible integration that occurs in a self-led system. The different parts maintain their separateness while communicating and collaborating with each other, while the self conducts the inner orchestra. So gorgeous. Love that. He's such a great author, by the way. There are so many like psychology sort of self-help books that I've tried to read, and so far his is the most digestible. Like I really like Joe Dispenza, and his Becoming Supernatural book, but again very dense and science-led and based. And The Body Keeps the Score, also like huge book, so many people are reading it. It's so dense I found it hard to read, whereas this book is very digestible. So we're gonna leave this here, and I would like to pull a couple of archetype cards to see what parts of the selves are coming up for you, and let's just get a little message from each of them. So I opened to Agape, spiritual love, the Mystic in reverse, maybe having some doubt spiritually, Apocalypsis, some kind of ending or deep transformation. The Mirror just came out. And again, I do want to stress, just like, I am not a trained psychologist or therapist, so, you know, obviously if a therapist was reading these cards, they would probably say something different. So just remember, like, if you are going through something, don't let this reading replace therapy. Like, it's really important to have a therapist whether you're going through something or not, just to stay clear. But what are the parts of group 1 that are wanting to come into the discussion for their greatest good and the greatest good of all beings? The Healer, beautiful, and it landed on the book, right actually on the paragraph that we read. And let's get one more. What parts of group 1 are wanting to be acknowledged and heard? What parts are wanting to speak to group 1? Okay, so more. We got more. Oh my gosh, and Agape's still on the bottom. I love that card. And the Animal. Interesting. So looking at these, I almost want to keep these up too, just because they're sort of framing the reading now. I'm wondering if there's maybe 2 parts of self that are at odds. The very spiritual, sort of like, I don't want to say disembodied, but more within like the philosophy, the mind, the heart, versus the animal, which is like the more like physical, enjoying pleasure, enjoying like the physical world in general, using the body. Even perhaps feeling like aggression or anger or like lower emotions according to a lot of different spiritual traditions and teachings. And yeah, I feel like that's the main theme of what's coming up. I'm curious to see what these are though. We have the Cave, the Village, it was in reverse, and the Poet. Yeah, so already looking at these, there's a dichotomy between sort of being an introvert and keeping to the self and having a community. These are 2 parts of self that are really trying to reconcile right now. And then I wonder if the Poet, it's kind of interesting, it sort of mirrors the image card. I wonder if there is some sort of like social group that you can go to, like a writing group or something, to sort of be a part of community while also being a little bit more introverted, self-reflective, but still being in a group. Almost like the people in that group might also be embodying those energies. There's a lot of yellow, pink, and red here. So for me that speaks on themes of like self-confidence, self-love, empowerment, feeling grounded and sturdy in the self. And then there's also these blues here, which are sort of like mind and peace. I'm also seeing like the blue of the eye and the animal sort of reflecting agape, so choosing to see through the eyes of love yourself and others. Maybe a need to ignite passion in order to be able to do that, like maybe because this spark of passion is like has maybe not been as present in your life. Maybe because you're going through something in your cave, not connecting with others. maybe more in this black and white thinking. There's a fire wanting to be lit, and that in itself will sort of help you see through this eye of spiritual compassion for yourself and others, and to maybe get out of the black and white thinking, because these are all, also pretty black and white, which this book talks a lot about too. So again, if this is resonating with you, I would recommend either, getting this book. I got it on Thrift Books for like, I don't know, maybe like $15 or something, or finding a therapist that does internal family systems. I personally have only had one internal family systems session. It was 2 years ago, and it was life-changing. And for me, it was reflecting on sort of spiritually bypassing anger and how to accept both of those parts and sort of integrate both of them. So yeah, it's really powerful for taking two seemingly polar opposite ways of being in the world and seeing how they can kind of coexist together. So let's get a message from the Skeletal Tarot. Got the Devil reversed. So yeah, overcoming some internal demons. We have the King of Swords and the Eight of Cups. So yeah, overcoming some like mental pattern that's kept you in this dark place. Maybe kept your behaviors even in limiting ways. Okay, we had a few flip over, so let's find them. And what else do we have? There's another one in here somewhere. Where'd it go? Was there not another one? Was I imagining it? Maybe there wasn't. Okay. Well, we have 2 cards for you. On the bottom we have Ace of Cups, which to me speaks a lot about self-love and self-care, getting still, and yeah, really focusing that internal love on yourself to fill your own cup so that you can come from this place of clear feeling, like knowing what your place of serenity feels like, and then being able to move about in the world with that same sense of clarity through feeling. It can also represent a really positive new emotional phase of life, which I feel is a really good omen for you guys. Behind it is the Seven of Pentacles, so just being patient. And then on the back of the deck we have the Page of Cups reversed, which the Page of Cups to me is very much the inner child. I was actually, I have so much water in my chart and like so much Pisces, so I was kind of modeling after me like being a little child, drawing and looking at the little creature in the water and, playing dress up and dancing around. And yeah, I feel like with it in reverse, part of this is coming into conversation with your inner child to uncover what they need to feel emotionally fulfilled and stable and grounded and joyful and passionate, even like how to help your cup overflow through working with this inner child. And behind it is the Four of Swords. So like maybe like 2 ways I would I keep wanting to say dissect, but read that is either that you've been needing to give yourself actual deep rest, but maybe some habits you have has been preventing that, or some way of being in the world hasn't been allowing it. And another part is you might be sleeping on certain actions that you need to take, that you've been needing to take in order to wake up this part of yourself. Oh my gosh, and then we have the Ace of Swords and the Chariot. How gorgeous is that? So the Ace of Swords is truth, almost like that lightning bolt or that aha moment. And then the Chariot is like moving forward victoriously, having the reins on your life. And the way I've depicted it too, it's sort of like having the magical reins on your life, right? Like utilizing your mental energy and your vital energy towards good to move towards your goals, and keeping a specific goal maybe in sight, I've been talking about this image a lot, but all of us, I like to believe, have a sort of North Star. And it might have, you know, maybe we had it in childhood and then lost it, but it's sort of like this ideal dream or vision for our lives that some of us hold on to and sort of use as a guidepost through life of like, you know, with this ideal image in mind, which action will help me come closer to it, and how can I be in the world in order to be aligned with that vision. So for some people in this group, maybe you've forgotten that, and maybe that's why there hasn't been that passion, and there's been more of that sort of bleak, sort of black and white, monotone feeling in life, because you're reclaiming this vision. And again, it comes through like sitting with yourself and your emotions. Like these are both hugged by cups, like how you truly feel. But that takes slowing down and cutting out distractions and like really learning to listen and honor that internal voice when it's trying to point you in a certain direction. So I would like to pull another card. This is the Practice You Daily Awakening deck by Elena Brower. How can group one really settle into this Ace of Cups, Ace of Swords energy to help them move forward through this healing process and through reconnecting with their inner child and with their dreams that they had as a child, so that they can re-spark this passion and this joy and this self-acceptance and healing. You got 2. Wow, beautiful. This is the confluence of self-care and service. Inhale, open arms wide. Exhale, offer yourself a huge hug. Repeat until you feel more connected to yourself. This is how I further evolution in my family. Wow, that's really powerful, group one. These are both like the higher heart chakras. And yeah, so first of all, you're learning like what it means to take care of yourself first and foremost, because it's from that place that you're able to genuinely care for others. So you might be needing to set certain boundaries, you might be wanting to put yourself out there to support a cause maybe, but consider, with this is how I further evolution in my family, how might the circumstances of your upbringing have led you to this moment in time where you're needing to reclaim this sort of magical excitement and joy of the inner child? In what ways might your inner child have been silenced or put down in the past? And how might you be able to reconcile with what happened and with this part of yourself in order to welcome it and truly allow it to act in the world and to create in the world? You might be mirroring something that you've experienced in your family and maybe picked up on a maybe subconscious level. He also talks about that in this book, by the way, how some of our burdens are handed down to us from our family, and because we've been marinating in them for so long, it can be even harder to see and recognize and work through, but it is possible, and the first part is awareness. So if you're having any thoughts come up to you now, maybe write those down. I also wonder if writing in general could be a huge part of this healing process for you with the poet, because it's in those private spaces where like no one is reading your journal that we can be fully honest with ourselves and compassionate with ourselves. Open to Master Healing, Star Child, and Ascension, the Rainbow Bridge. Beautiful. Yeah, so healing this part of yourself to allow your weird, glorious inner child to shine and dance again. Letting in the healing light of the cosmos to bring alignment to your chakras and to open you to greater levels of joy and connection and community. You have reassurance of the golden light on the bottom and Merkaba, spiritual protection, on the top. So yeah, having trust and faith, making sure that you're protecting your energy, cleansing yourself, perhaps maybe getting like Reiki done even. You have spiritual service and initiation by air. Where do I want to put these? I kind of want to put them here even though they're covering up a little bit. I'm going to read from the book for these. This is Alana Fairchild's Lightworker Oracle. I'm going to read spiritual service first. Oh my god, I literally just flipped right up into it. I'll hold it up to the camera so that you can see it. Self-doubt can be a habit that is hard to break. It can slow down your spiritual progress and the fulfillment of your life purpose. Ultimately, it won't stop you, but it can make your progress seem more challenging. It's easier to fulfill your purpose when you acknowledge your own goodness and talent and do what you love to the best of your ability. Realize that you are enough, that your work is good, and that you have something of value to offer. It's time to let go of fear of failure, concern about your ability, and your right to live a happy and fulfilled life of success. The universe believes in you. So because these are very, very, very long, I'm just going to show you the page. If you want to actually read it, you can pause the video. Awesome. And then we'll read initiation by air. It says, you have a strong and powerful mind. The mind can be a great asset. It can bring comfort, peace, and strength as you take your spiritual journey. It can also be a dark and destructive force, undermining your power, making you doubt your own heart, and keeping you trapped in fear. The mind, developed without a loving spiritual practice, can be a frightening weapon rather than a liberating sword. How will you choose to use your mind power? Look at the liberating sword. Okay, you guys, how perfect is that? Also that it was right above the sword, and then you have the chariot of success, harnessing your mind and your vital energy, your chi, in order to move you forward in life. Directing your attention and your focus towards what you desire rather than letting all of that mental and vital energy be used towards your fears, your doubts. Again, I'm not going to read all this because it's very long. We're already 22 minutes in, but yeah, feel free to pause the video and read this. Awesome. And oh, this is interesting. Usually I lay the decks upside down when I'm done with them, but this one I did not. So I'm also just going to read this one to you really quick. Left hand to heart, right hand resting, spine tall. Breathe deeply into your belly, expand throughout your whole body, and receive your breathing. This is how I share the blessing of trust with those who need it most. Awesome. So feel free to ask a few questions. I'm going to shuffle these tea leaf cards for your final message. Consider if you have any lingering questions about this reading. I'm going to lay them upside down, however many we get. So here's the first two. The top just fell off, so there's the third one. Okay, well, we got 7. That's a lot more than I thought, but yeah, ask whatever you want to ask. If you just want to receive the messages as they are, that is also okay. If you want to read them in the positions that they're in, that's also okay. So yeah, just see if any of these are calling to your attention. I'm going to start flipping them over now. First you have chair, empty. It says someone is leaving your life. Bag, something important such as a new job or a raise. Stork, news of a birth or a new business opportunity. Vase, secret admirer. Bridge, successfully overcoming a problem. Firecracker, excitement. And ring, a marriage will take place either romantic or business. So group 1, that was your reading. I really hope that you enjoyed this, that you benefited from this. If so, please leave a like, subscribe, leave a little message in the comments saying how much you loved or hated this reading. And I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much. Bye. Hey group 2, and welcome to your reading. If you're here, you chose the 5 Dharma Types Vedic Wisdom for Discovering Your Purpose and Destiny, written by Simon Chikoski. So I read this book probably in 2018, 2019, and it was so helpful for me to better understand myself, but to also better understand others and the ways that I interacted with them, they interacted with me, what we could bring to each other's lives, how we might benefit each other, how we might, sometimes experience disharmony with each other. So if you're here, I wonder if some things are happening relationally in your life, if you're maybe wanting to understand people, your coworkers, yourself, your friends, your family, your romantic significant other. So let's just flip open to our random page and see what's there. Secret fear. The educator type secret fear is for survival. Because educators lack physical skills to fully care for themselves, they are often the most physically vulnerable. Their antidote is to surrender to the forces of nature, allowing nature to take care of them. This is difficult, but an educator surrendered to the greater will becomes invincible. Gandhi is an example of an educator who harnessed the forces of surrender to achieve superhuman results. Oh, these are going... Okay, well, I feel like I kind of want to read all of the fears, and you can see which one you resonate as, and then I'll just do a pile for each of the archetypes, and whichever one you resonate with can be yours. So, the laborer's secret fears of being ridiculed, perceived as stupid or not knowing enough. The antidote is love and devotion. Linguistic behaviors, facts, and information do not stand up to pure, unalloyed love. Oprah Winfrey and Mother Teresa are examples of laborers whose ability to love transcended their secret fears of ridicule. The merchant's secret fear is being worthless. There's an emptiness inside merchants that is filled only by giving. This is the spiritual paradox of the hungry ghost. No matter how much they can eat, they cannot be filled. External things cannot rid them of this feeling. The antidote is to give the very thing they crave, and in doing so to be released from the desire for it, which is the cause of their suffering. The warrior secretly fears God. Warriors are masters of the material plane where they can control themselves and their environment. They fear that which they cannot control, which is the spiritual. Right knowledge protects warriors and assures them of their just place in the world. It also sanctions their actions when they're performed with the proper intent. This type of right understanding is the central theme of Krishna's teaching in the Bhagavad Gita. I'm going to skip that part and skip to the outsiders. Outsiders fear being caught and restrained. As a result, they tend to hide themselves or conceal their intentions. The answer is to be plain and honest with people. Freedom comes not from sulking in the dark, but in turning the light into yourself. Outsiders can only be restrained when they deceive themselves in society. Therefore, for outsiders, the truth will set you free is not a cliche, but a mantra for personal emancipation. Wow, that's really powerful. I'm so glad we opened this page. So we're talking about fear. And again, this maybe one of those you really thought of yourself when I read it. Maybe one of them you're like, oh my gosh, that's my mother, that's my sibling, that's my friend, that's my boss, that's my lover. So let this reading maybe even just inform you about not only yourself, but those in your lives, So, I'd like to get like one card / set of cards, because sometimes more fall out, for each of the types from the Skeletal Tarot. So what's the message for the educators? Cool. Yeah, 2. What's the message for the laborers? What's the message for the merchants? What's the message for the warriors? And what's the message for the outsiders? Yeah, on the bottom we have 2 of Cups, which again is that like relational card. So again, you might be here in this reading in order to understand someone in your life or yourself. And on the other side, we have the King of Wands. So this card to me is all about empowerment, and perhaps understanding our fears helps us better understand our power. So, these books don't leave much room. How about this? I'm just going to hold the book, and again, I will read out loud the basis of what each of these are before we actually flip the cards and see. So for the first group, we're reading about the educators, and theirs is about fear of survival. So fear of not being able to make ends meet, not being able to defend themselves, that type of thing. And what was the trick to overcoming? Oh, to surrender to the forces of nature and allowing nature to take care of them. They both fell out reversed, but interesting. So it's 2 major arcana cards, which feels really significant. You have the Lovers and the Hierophant. So the Lovers talks about the need to make a decision, and the Hierophant is about like what sort of community you want to be a part of. So, and because they're in reverse, I feel like this is just a question that the educators in this group are asking themselves, and especially with like the fear of survival being there, it could be like, what sort of work environment do you want to be in? What kind of career, like work, do you actually want to be doing? What kind of people do you want to be associated with? Maybe you're experiencing actual spiritual changes and deciding like what kind of groups of people, like what kind of people do you want to surround yourself with? Are your friendships and close relationships in alignment with that right now, or not? Because the more that you can align with this, the more that you can really surrender to that faith that you are where you need to be, you're aligned with your truth, and because of that, everything will be taken care of. Let's do it like this to create space. So this is for the laborer group. Laborer's secret fear is to be ridiculed, perceived as stupid or not knowing enough, and the antidote is love and devotion. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, so you've got a lot of cards. I'm going to read them this way because it feels like a progression. So you have 3 cards that are reversed and 1 that's upright. They're all minor arcanas, so they're not as big of like a life change as the educators. This is more like life altering. This is more like maybe a theme that's just been present in your life that you're moving through. So I'll tell you what each of the cards means, and then we'll go into like with them reversed, what could that mean? Eight of Swords is this feeling of being stuck, usually because of certain thoughts, mental activity. The Page of Swords is usually about learning, sort of being a novice again, learning new things. It's in reverse, which, well, sorry, I guess I said I'd do it after. I'm just going to do it now, though. In reverse, I usually think of someone who maybe communicates immaturely, or doesn't know yet all of the skills in order to help them maybe overcome this problem here, which with this in reverse, it does talk about getting free from mental blocks that are actually maybe creating physical blocks in your world. Here we have the Six of Cups, which is usually about sweetness, friendship, nostalgia, childhood and growing up. And with it in reverse, I wonder if maybe that's what's been blocked for some reason. Maybe there is an old memory or remembered pattern that is keeping the mind stuck. And again, this is about being like judged or perceived in a certain way. So from these three cards in reverse, I just get the feeling that maybe something happened in childhood, somebody said something or treated you a certain way that made your sense of self lack. Like maybe you thought lower of yourself or had lower expectations for yourself after that, or felt like you were capable of less. And that's where this sort of fear of judgment is coming from. And then I feel like this is just that cure of like Three of Cups, community, being in community, celebration, and joy, and sort of setting the mind free from these internal judgments about how things are, because they might not be based in reality. If your internal dialogue is saying like, I am so foolish for wearing the color green, bright green, when everyone else is wearing red, and I stick out like a sore thumb and they're judging me. Whereas here it's like celebrating that difference of like, oh, look at how many colors there are. Look at how many differences there are between all of us. And I just feel like surrendering to joy in general, and like, yeah, that love and community, the love and devotion that the book is talking about. Finding community that you can direct that love outwards towards, because you really like those people, and trusting that the more that you just direct that focus outwards towards what you like and take it away from yourself, the less self-conscious you'll feel. And over time, since your perspective is being shifted, those feelings of self-consciousness might even dissipate, because now you're focused more on connection rather than alienation. Now you're focused on accepting others rather than the vibration of non-acceptance. You know what I'm saying? So again, if you do have like this sort of like labor archetype, somebody who's very good at doing like the grunt work, at just getting stuff done, sort of the energy of like being the provider even, enjoying like very physical tasks, maybe this is a way that you can also help support them through just seeing and acknowledging their gifts and directing that love and devotion also to them to help uplift them and maybe draw them out of their shell. So next we have the Merchant. You only have one card. The Merchant's secret fear is being worthless, and that emptiness inside can only be filled by giving. So giving, you have the Page of Wands. The antidote here is giving what lights you up, like giving in ways that really light you up and invigorate you and make you feel passionate and joyful. And also knowing that by giving, you even change your environment. The idea of this card was that this character is harnessing their sort of childlike sense of magic and like casting a spell on the scarecrow, maybe bringing the scarecrow to life. So maybe your passions the more that you can actually engage in them and give through what you love, it'll maybe even inspire other people to action and bring them to life if maybe they've been afraid of doing this certain thing. Yeah, that one feels really simple and straightforward and lovely, really, for the merchants. And then next we have the warrior. It says the warrior secretly fears God. Cha-cha-cha. Right knowledge protects warriors and assures them of their just place in the world. It also sanctions their actions when they're performed with the proper intent. So right understanding. Right understanding to overcome the fear of God. And you have the Two of Pentacles, which is balance. Very interesting. So for this group, I feel like the middle path, navigating opposites. You might be somebody who, especially with the warrior archetype, is prone to like maybe angry outbursts and then like, I don't know, like love bombing or something. Or maybe having like a sort of like bipolar way of being in the world. Also with like the merchant archetype, that could really go together. Also, I don't know if you can hear it, but my roommate's cat is meowing at the door. He is part Siamese and has a very loud mouth. Maybe that's a part of this. Because this card makes me think of temperance. So it's like making sure that you're at least keeping one stable foot on the ground. So what do I want to say here? Maybe like holding two extremes. If you are drawn to this group and specifically the warrior archetype, I would almost recommend listening to the first group of the internal family systems, because I feel like that will go a lot more in depth with this, and with this one card, I feel like I could take forever extrapolating. So if you feel like you are this warrior archetype, you're somebody who really likes, like maybe you're competitive, maybe you've always been drawn to like the samurai or like wrestling, or like Shaolin monks. Willpower is important to you, protecting what you love is important to you. If that all resonates with you, I would actually recommend listening to the first group. Yeah, because I feel like to really go into it's going to take way too long to go into what I want to say with that, so just take that. And then for the outsiders fear being caught and restrained. As a result, they tend to hide themselves or conceal their intentions. And the answer is to be plain and honest with people. The truth will set you free. So what do the outsiders need to hear right now as the truth to set them free? If you're experiencing a sense of like anxiety or being in your head about something, sleepless nights over something, a couple things here. Whatever it is that you're overthinking, it might just not be for you, because you want to feel the full yes in the core of your being. So if this feels like something that's just haunting you, taking up a lot of mental energy and space, the message is that it's not for you. Maybe it's even creating messes, since I said messes. And the other thing is that the more that you stoke your inner flame and do what you love and what you're passionate about, the more that these fears and anxieties will sort of dissipate. The more that you feel like you have a strong core, right? A strong solar plexus, the more readily capable you feel for overcoming these things. So as a sort of dual message, this actually feels perfect that it can go both ways. First of all, whatever is making you anxious and haunting you is maybe just not for you, and that's why it's creating those feelings, because it's at a dissonance to who you truly are, and staying involved with it is actually dishonest to yourself and others. And as you can make this decision for yourself and redirect your focus onto what you actually authentically love and what actually authentically lights you up, the more that will dissipate. Okay. So that was very long. Instead of pulling a bunch of cards, I'm just going to pull a little tea leaf card or cards for each group. So for the educators, a final message for the educators. Maybe you want to ask a question for group 1. I had them ask a question. For educators, you have dog protection from a powerful friend. I love that. So maybe even connecting with your dog as nature and sort of letting that bond ground you, stabilize you, help you feel safe, and also kindle those feelings of love and connection that maybe you would like to draw in with your next community or place. For the laborers, what is the message for the laborers? You have bird perched, waiting for news, package, or letter. Interesting. Do one more from this one for the merchants. Ooh. Okay, interesting. How many of these do I want to take? You have a lot. This is making up for your one single card, okay, merchants? So, the first one that came out, actually tried to come out with 3 at first, and I put some of them back, so I'll try to read them in somewhat order. You have fly, a period of ill health or depression, strong emotion, passionate love or hate, archway, new opportunities, possibilities, and paths opening. The sun, happiness and well-being. Wow. So I almost wonder if it's like your emotions have somehow been affecting you, either creating depression or literally creating like psychosomatic illness in you. And with these new opportunities and pathways opening up, that's actually going to bring you more joy and happiness, and probably especially like throughout summer months with the sun. You have 4 more, so maybe these are 2 different messages for you merchants. I'm so glad that you're getting these because, yeah, with that one little card, I want to give y'all a little bit more. So you have spear, heartache over what you no longer have. Moon, changes in your life. Grapes, time to go out and have fun. And stork, news of a birth or new business opportunity. So yeah, I wonder if for you guys, if there was some way that you were giving in a situation that was just like draining you and not actually feeling authentic to the way that you actually like to give, and in choosing to walk away from that situation, you're opening the door to new opportunities to actually like kind of take up that energetic space that you're creating then. And even though it might be really, really hard to walk away from this thing because you were maybe invested in it, you have deep feelings for it, the changes in your life are actually going to be really positive, and it's going to maybe bring in like new business partners, new opportunities for growing your business and for being in community. And again, it might be really difficult, but that's just kind of the balance in life, right? Like give and take. If the space is already being filled, if the chair is already being filled, how is anything new supposed to sit in it? You get what I'm saying? So even though it might be hard, it actually is leading to like a time of joy, fulfillment, connection, and prosperity, because grapes are also symbolic of like wealth and prosperity. A message for the warriors that hopefully y'all will go to group 1 to get a little bit more info, but the message for warriors, you got 2 cards. Wall, misunderstanding, and bird flying, news is on the way. So, interesting. I wonder, like, these could either go together, that like some news comes to you but you misinterpret it, or you've misunderstood it in the past and someone is coming through to communicate to help make things more clear. And finally, for the outsiders, the message for the outsiders. You had horse and man, that said basically like short journey with a man. So maybe like this 9 of Swords is like a man in your life, making you anxious that you need to let go of. That's for some of you, because they didn't fall out, I'm not going to take them. You have spiritual love just hanging out at the bottom while I'm shuffling. You just had egg fall out. Awesome. And mountain. You still have horse on the bottom, also short journey. Torch at the top, spiritual development, enlightenment, awareness, and understanding. That's so beautiful. So I feel like whatever happens, it's done with this deep compassion to have had both of those very present for this reading. You have egg, success assured with good plans and hard work, and mountain, a major challenge to overcome. Yeah, so I feel like whatever this passionate thing that you're starting or initiating, it will require a lot of work, and maybe that's why you're having to let go of whatever is taking up this mental space, because you need that mental space for planning whatever this is. So don't get disheartened if it's a really big project or a really big goal, and just make sure that you're really prioritizing your energy towards that, to keep you aligned with it. And so yeah, you're just not getting distracted, and that's what will help you be successful. So group 2, that is my message for you guys. I hope that this was really helpful, because I feel like this was a reading within a reading, like 5 readings within one pile. And again, like for those of you that chose this group, it might be because, yeah, maybe you're experiencing, I don't know, confusion or anxiety or difficulties within certain relationships, or the ways that you engage with certain people. And so I hope that this will bring a lot of clarity to you. I hope that you enjoyed this journey together. And yeah, highly recommend this book, you guys. It's so good. I feel like it changed my life and made it so much easier for me as a little weirdo to connect with other people and to understand the way that I was connecting with them better. So yeah, thanks for being here. Leave a little like and subscribe if you'd like to, if you benefited from this. Leave a little comment to help the channel grow and to just share your perspective. Love to hear people's perspectives. And hopefully I'll see you next time. Okay, bye. Hello, my friends of Pile 2. If you are here, you chose the book, The Wheel of Healing with Ayurveda, an easy guide to a healthy lifestyle. So this book is incredible. Read it a few years ago, probably like 2018, 2019. It's so helpful for finding balance. So I wonder if group 3 here is either sort of just wanting to experience more balance in their lives, internally, like emotionally, mentally, physically, or if you're just trying to like be healthier, or if maybe you're just really into Ayurveda and that's how you found your way here. So let us open to a random page. Well, I kind of want to read this list. It does say eating for your mind-body type, but that kind of it's a lot to go into, so I'll just say, like, for that piece, like, if you're someone who is very, like, hot and fiery, like, eating more cool foods, if you're feeling, like, lethargic and tired, eating more spicy foods, if you're feeling really in your head, eating grounding foods, like root vegetables, for example. Just to make that piece short. But I really like this. The 10 guidelines for eating awareness. Eat only when you're hungry. Eat in a calm environment. Put down your fork between bites. Eat 2 cupped handfuls of food at a time. Stop eating when you're satisfied but not full. Do not eat if you're not enjoying your food. Sit down to eat at a table with a pleasant setting. Drink only water at meals and in small amounts. Do not eat when you're upset, and feel gratitude for the food that you have. So these are huge. I definitely feel shifts when I can do more of this. Obviously none of us are perfect. I myself like put my fork down between bites. Heck no, if I'm eating a delicious pasta, I do not do that. I've definitely been known to watch Netflix and eat food, which this definitely says not to, but I think that, like anything, temperance, right? If you're a very long way from this right now, start by doing one thing. So that could be just drinking water at your meals and in small amounts instead of drinking a soda. To sit down and eat at a table with a pleasant setting, like that one is like weirdly hard for me, even though it's nice to like just light a candle and eat in silence instead of reading my book or listening to a podcast or watching TV. So for me, like this is a big one to do. Eat in a calm environment. Feel gratitude. This one, I really love this one. So before we move on to your cards, I'll just say, like, feeling gratitude for the food that you have is so vital, and one of my favorite, longest lasting spiritual practices that I can do even if I don't have the time and energy or like motivation to sit down for other things, I can still do this. So what I like to do is hold my bowl in my hands, and with each breath I imagine a little light like chi, like spinning into a spiral in, and when I exhale that light spirals out. And my favorite prayer that I say over my food is thank you for this meal that is vegetarian and organic, which are my preferences, that is kind towards the earth and its ecosystems, cultivating nutrient-rich soil, rich with mycelial networks, clean air and clean water that can help plant and animal life thrive now and for the next 7 generations. I'm grateful that this meal also brings balance to my own body, mind, and spirit in cultivating a peaceful, harmonious energy that I can then share with others in the world. For me, that's kind of like the base of it. I don't always do that. If I'm like bare minimum, I'm freaking hungry, I'll just spiral the light in and out a few times. It can also be a really lovely practice to thank the farmers, to imagine each ingredient and give thanks for it. If you're eating animal products, to thank and bless that animal. Like if there's like dairy in my meal, I'll imagine like the cow and ask that that creature's spirit be uplifted with my gratitude, that their soul be liberated and set free with my gratitude for, you know, providing sustenance, yada yada. So I'm just gonna really quick, if y'all want to read more in depth about this, I'm just gonna hold the book up. You can pause the video if you want to read in more detail what it says. Ooh, did you hear my stomach right there? My stomach does this really weird thing, guys. Oh my god, I'm finally coming out on the channel. My stomach does this weird thing when I breathe, that like air goes into my stomach. You can like, can you hear it? No, I can't do it now. There we go. So if you ever hear that on the channel, that's air going into my stomach. I don't know why. I'm a massage therapist too, and it's super awkward when it starts happening during a massage because people think I'm like having severe indigestion, and I'm like, nah, it's just air going in and out of my stomach. So let's start with a little intention card here. What are we talking about? I just cut to inner dignity, so maybe you're just working on your relationship with food and what it looks like to have dignity with your eating habits. There's just a card about like what are you amplifying, what are you releasing. Awesome. On the bottom, you have this card. It says, place hands on your solar plexus just below your heart. Listen to your breathing, surrender, lose track, and come back. These are the blessings I offer to the mothers and fathers. So maybe this is something learned even from mothers and fathers. A lot of solar plexus energy. So we're actually going to take these because that is very much about your, literally your stomach, your digestion, your energy, your chi. And you have This Is My Prayer for Evolution on the bottom. That's like my favorite card in this deck. And the cards that fell out. Holding the most pressing current reality in your heart, how can you shift your vantage point in this moment? This is how my simplest shift in perception grants profound healing. And this is how I remember to see each day as a gift. What memories open your eyes and soften your gaze? Interesting. So it's also having to do with your mind. These are cards related to the third eye chakra. So a couple things I'm seeing here. How is memory perhaps influencing your habits? Like, I am thinking of, like, my mom telling me that growing up, like, popcorn and movie night was really special to them. And so, like, eating in front of the TV became a habit, which, you know, then was handed down to me. And that's the way that I get to work through it then. But how can, I wonder if, like, in sharing that, like, how can it become more special or sacred? Like, in that example, not every night has to be popcorn movie night. Popcorn movie night itself isn't bad, but how can we temper it and maybe just do popcorn movie night sometimes, once a week? And how can we be more present the other days so that the mental energy, the third eye, can be more balanced? And so can your energy levels, your solar plexus, your personal power, your self-confidence, your well-being, your energetic well-being. And how can your simplest shift in perception grant profound healing? That feels really important too. I wonder if there's a way that you're viewing yourself that's keeping you in these habits. Let's get some tarot cards. I flipped open to 10 of Cups in reverse, which can talk about overindulgence, overdoing things, having so much good richness that it can actually dampen the spirit because of maybe lack of temperance. And yeah, Ace of Wands reverse, like maybe making you feel tired because of too much. I'm also thinking of something that my friend who's a life coach helped me through, of like the idea of not enoughness, and how sometimes when we like overdo, overeat, whatever, overdo anything, how it could be coming from a place of not enoughness, like feeling like we are somehow not enough. And that's why we like reach for the extra bowl of pasta or like the bowl of ice cream after dinner or whatever. I linked her below in my videos in the last one. I'm gonna do it again for this one, so if you'd be interested in working with her, she helped me a lot. This is not sponsored. I don't even think she knows that I linked her below in my last video. But yeah, I found it to be really helpful to just sort of understand and untangle, you know, these behaviors that were holding me back from feeling fully empowered. So what is the message for group 3? The most important message for them to hear for their greatest good and the greatest good of all beings everywhere. At the bottom you have the Fool, my favorite card, which talks about new beginnings, which come after endings, like a candle burning out, for example. How beautiful that smoke looks. So some new beginning coming from something ending, which I find like this in relation, I feel like it's with solar plexus, actually. Wow, actually. Look at the colors here. So you have like the more like lunar energy and then the solar energy. So I feel like in working through something within your mind or your belief systems or your perception, that's what's helping you move on into this more empowered place and sort of surrender to these changes that you know need to take place. And that perhaps like you've maybe been feeling sort of stuck because you haven't been taking these changes. So we're taking these steps to make changes. You have the High Priestess in reverse on the other side. The Five of Swords is behind the Fool. So yeah, maybe just not listening to your intuition about something, ignoring your intuition, maybe about a behavior that's harmful, or maybe even a person that's harmful words that have been said to you, and maybe you know, but just, yeah, haven't found yourself able to take that important action yet. Let me replace this candle for you guys so you can have your fresh start. This is symbolic, okay? I'm removing this stubborn candle that doesn't want to come out, which is, this is the old behaviors, the old way of being, ignoring what you really have been wanting and needing to do for your own mental and physical well-being. Really doesn't want to get thrown out. It just fell out of my garbage. But here's rebirthing through this new way, sparking your internal flame and letting that bring clarity to your mind and body, this peace and harmony and healing for yourself and all generations. Beautiful. I love that we just got to do that ceremony together. So, now that we've done that, what does that look like? So, you have the Hermit card, which I love the Hermit. To me, it talks about going inward, getting still, to find deeper wisdom and also to just experience deeper peace and inner harmony. You have the Queen of Pentacles, which is really awesome. She, to me, in the deck is like that badass mama that can do anything. Like, she's like a business owner, mother of 3, like running her own little side gig. Maybe she does a pyramid scheme. Also is like a manager at like a bakery or something. Like, she does it all and stays grounded for the whole time. She's also out in nature, which I love in this. I think there's something really important about feeling grounded here, since both of these characters in robes are like at a tree. Like, the Hermit is sitting beneath a tree, like the Buddha, and the Queen of Pentacles is standing by the tree. So a few things, I feel like getting in nature to become more aware of your body is really helpful for you, for whatever like this eating habit is. I know that helps me a lot if I'm like actually going out in nature in silence and getting in my body. I'm more likely to be present with the meal I'm eating after versus like if I'm just hanging out on my phone or like I'm even reading a book or like watching TV, like, because I'm not grounded in my body, I don't always listen to it as much as like if I was just having exercise. Also, I think this is talking about just feeling more grounded. So like these steps that you're taking are helping you feel more grounded in your life in general, for your mind to quiet down and for the energies of your solar plexus and your third eye to just balance out in general. Which will be very, very beneficial for you. You'll feel like your intuition is more spot on. You won't be self-doubting as much. I think, you know, part of maybe what this group needs to hear is that the self-doubt comes in when you're ignoring your intuition, and your intuitive nudges have been asking you to make these changes for a really long time. And so if you want to experience that deep trust with yourself, you have to trust yourself to take the action you need to take and to have that integrity with yourself. Because if you can't trust yourself to take these like very grounded steps, it makes it hard to trust anything like that you're feeling, experiencing, dreaming about. So even though it seems unrelated, it's deeply related, and this reading is to sort of confirm that for you. And then the final tarot card that you have is the 8 of Pentacles, which talks about having a daily practice and putting in the work. So yeah, this might just be something that you have to show up for every day and sort of renew that dedication to this process every day, because it might be like that for a while. And you know, just remembering that like habits take, is it like 21 days to like fully become like, you don't have to think about it, you don't have to try as hard, it just becomes a part of your routine. It might be a long, slow process, but it's worth it to just show up every day for it. And the more that you show up being fully present and grounded each day, the easier that this is going to be. I'm thinking of the number 9 on the list. Don't eat when you're upset. Like, if you are an emotional eater, and if maybe you have something running through your mind of like maybe a change you want to make, a situation that you're in, an insecurity, like whatever it is, that might make you, you know, like engage in this sort of compulsive behavior. and might then perpetuate like a racing mind and feelings of insecurity. I'm gonna get one more card for you guys from the Lightworker Oracle by Alana Fairchild. What's the most important message for Group 3 for their greatest good and the greatest good of all beings everywhere? Okay, so the first card that fell out is Spiritual Decree. I'm going to read it to you from the book after I take a drink of my drink. Because these are so long, I'm just going to read the intro part and then I'm just going to hold the book up to the camera. You can pause the video to read it if you want to go more in depth. So, Spiritual Decree says, you've been wondering what will happen next in your life, not realizing how much power you have to decide that for yourself. What do you wish to have happen next? Are you willing to use your divine birthrights of free will, voice, and empowerment to set the cosmic wheels in motion? If your answer is yes, then it's time to speak your truth to the universe, decree it, and you shall be it. I love that for you. We'll cover that here. So just reading that, I feel like an important message is, again, just coming back to that, like, intuition and sureness and confidence in what you feel. Like, you may be experiencing a lot of self-doubt, and it is because of this habit that you need to let go of, because that habit is disconnecting you from your directed focus and your groundedness, and yeah, like, it might seem like something small, but if you're here at this reading, it's having a bigger influence than you might think. So here is your message if you want to screenshot or pause the video to read it. And the second page. And then you also had 3 more cards fall out. They are Trust in the Plan, Cosmic Heart, Cosmic Christ, and Reassurance of the Golden Light. So I'm going to do the same thing for these 3 cards. I'll read you the beginning, and then you can pause or screenshot to read the rest of it. So, trust in the plan. In preparation for radical growth, there can be temporary disorder and chaos. Whilst the mind may worry that something is going wrong, the spirit knows that this is a way for the old to disassemble so the new can be formed. Although you may feel out of control during such times, you do not need to resist the process. There's no need to attempt to impose your own sense of order upon the greater plan. You do not need to seek solutions, for there's no problem here in need of solving. What has been is being cleared away in preparation for the next chapter in your life. Have faith, all is well. Also, if you guys have a recommendation for, like, a light, I'm using one, like, on my camera, but it's just, like, very bright. Yeah, I just wish you could see the cards better. Okay, I'm gonna move these up so that we can put the cards below here. So next you have Cosmic Heart, Cosmic Christ. It says, you're elevating your vibration towards the frequency of limitless supply and unconditional love. Spiritually, you are reaching for a high level of attainment. Past pain and self-defeating behaviors shall no longer have a place in your heart. Wow, that's huge. Especially under the spiritual decree and the solar plexus energy. I also think it's powerful, like, I will show you the rest of that, but just powerful, this image of, like, the heart being lit up like this solar energy in the heart, the solar plexus kind of guiding the way. Like, there's no doubt when you're in this place, right? This is the place of faith in yourself and your journey. And again, that takes, like, listening to spirit when it's asking you to do something. So here is the message. Again, feel free to pause, screenshot. You can hear my stomach, it's so gross. Oh my god. So embarrassing. Everyone's just hearing my weird stomach now. Okay. The final message for you is the reassurance of the golden light. This golden light comes to you as a gift of grace and reassurance. It's an embrace from the universe, an expression of divine comfort, and a sign of hope. When the golden light appears, it's a sign that everything in your life, even the most troubling matters, is going to work out perfectly. They are held in the graceful hand of the divine and will be resolved more swiftly and beautifully than you might expect. Gorgeous. It almost looks like praying for the energy that is in the first 2 cards that were there. So final time, here is your message. Screenshot or pause to read it. Awesome. And then to wrap up your reading, group 3, I have some tea leaf cards. So if you have any questions on your heart, ask away. I don't know how many are going to fall out, but when you see them, maybe you'll be drawn to a specific one, or maybe you have a number in your head of which one is for you. Wow, group 3, maybe you only, ooh, I was just about to say, maybe you only get 1. You get 4. 1 just fell on the ground, though. Okay, there are your tea leaves. So whichever one, sorry it's a little bit messy, but whichever one calls to you, that will be your card. Maybe all of them. You can take all of them if you want. So pause if you need more time. Maybe you have multiple questions. I don't know. I'm going to start flipping them though. Firecracker, excitement. Ooh, what's exciting you guys? That's pointing the way for sure. Target, a goal-oriented person. Cool. Maybe aiming for what excites you. Tree, affairs with your family. Interesting. With all the trees you have in here too. Maybe having like family meals, or like FaceTiming with your family while you have meals instead of like watching TV or something. So you're connecting with others. Lobster, financial pinch. And lightning, control your anger or you will be sorry. So for those of you that chose this one, look up Pitta. Some of these are like actually quite strong, like Pitta energy. If you are someone who's a bit more like fiery and you have like irritability, indigestion, Pitta. Yeah. And again, like maybe part of this is just encouraging you guys to eat an Ayurvedic diet if you chose this. So if you tend to be more like slow, sort of moving, maybe look up like kapha. You got the trees here for grounding. That makes me think of kapha. And if you're sort of high anxiety in your head a lot, maybe look up vata. There's also tests that you can take online to help you sort of determine your type and direct you towards what might be the best sort of diet for you. And you can look that all up online, or since you chose this book, this is the book that taught me, and it feels very in-depth and like, I mean, such a good book that I bought it twice, right? Because I gave my last copy to a friend and wanted to share this with a friend. So that was your reading group 3. I hope that that was very helpful for you. If it was, I would so appreciate a like, a subscribe, a comment, and I hope to see you next time. Bye! Hey my friends, if you're here, you chose group 4, which is Painting Your Way Out of a Corner, The Art of Getting Unstuck by Barbara Diane Barry. I have not read this book yet. My friend Ashton, who created the Artist Block Oracle, which we will use in today's reading, actually recommended this book to me. And before we open up, I am having a few little nudges about it. So I had to take a short little break before doing your reading to just sort of nourish myself and my body. And as I approached the camera to start filming, the screen just turned off and said sleep. So I don't know if some of you in group 4 are needing to nurture yourself, nourish yourself, and take a little rest. That could be part of your message. But let's just flip open to a random page. It says Working the Edge. I think it's interesting that we opened up to a chapter 10. So 10 to me is a number of completeness, the combination of the masculine and the feminine, of the 1 and the 0. And yeah, being maybe like from that balance, sort of being one with everything. Maybe you've just completed something. Let's just read though. So the first thing is a quote from Anne Morrow Lindbergh that says, "We have left the well-tracked beaches of proven facts and experiences. We are adventuring the chartless seas of imagination." I love this. Anne Morrow Lindbergh wrote, is it like Lessons from the Beach or something? It's a really beautiful book of like her time kind of spent living by the beach and the different lessons and like mystical teachings it gave her. So maybe that's part of that for you guys if you need to nurture yourself, maybe getting in some water, taking a bath, taking a walk on the beach if there's one near you. But we have left the well-tracked beaches of proven facts and experiences. We are adventuring the chartless seas of imagination. So maybe group 4, you're in a place right now where you're kind of in uncharted territory, and it's from completing the cycle of the known with the 10 there. Like, you've gone through something, you've maybe completed a cycle or a chapter, and now what's laying before you is this sort of vast void energy that is just waiting. I want to say waiting for you to fill it, but waiting to be filled with your prayers, what you've been asking for, and probably a lot of things that you don't even know exist yet. And so the more that you can just be in the present moment right now and really be present with what is and direct your attention and focus into like, A, what needs to be done, B, nurturing yourself, and C, whatever is sparking your interest right now, that will bring in opportunities for you. I want to read this page too, because it feels like there's a lot of depth here. It says, "We began with the concept of the unplanned painting and a development of trust in the unknown, learning to sit with uncertainty until an image emerges and stretches the muscle of our imagination. Each weathered episode of ambiguity strengthens our ability to accept whatever form a new idea takes. How do we keep this process moving ahead? How can we improve? And what is it we must come back to each time we approach the page?" As with any process, you have to start from where you are and accept that, whatever your first steps, they are good enough. To make progress, that is, to widen and deepen each painting experience, means to come back and lay yourself on the line. You have made a tacit agreement to begin taking risks no matter how small. Each time you risk one thing, you're bridging the way towards the next time, and with practice, a series of such moments. It's an exhilarating experience that can also bring you in touch with a range of emotions from dark to light. Wow, yeah, this is really powerful, group 4. Let's see if I can even paperweight this. I might just have to go. Oh my goodness, okay. I wish I just had one of those stands that I could like sit it up on like this. I wonder if this one can hold it. Excuse my fumbling. Sometimes we have to fumble in the dark, right, you guys? So wow, there's a lot there. This is a very rich page. I like the questions. How do we keep the process moving ahead of trusting in the unknown with something we're pursuing? How can we improve? So what can we do every day? And what is it that we must come back to each time we approach the page or approach this situation? To make progress means to come back and lay yourself on the line. Let's start pulling some cards. I feel like I could just like spiral into this page for hours. Maybe you need to do that. I was gonna say, here, let me hold it up for you, but that would mean taking that crystal off, and I do not want to take that crystal off. I just got it on. So your first cards are about communication. The Knight of Swords and the Eight of Wands. The Page of Cups, which in reverse, which to me talks about the inner child. And the Magician in reverse, which is similar to the inner child, honestly, to me. But let's see, what's the most important message for pile 4 about this uncharted territory, trusting in the unknown, trusting in themselves? Cool. You have the Three of Swords on the bottom, but reversed, so maybe letting go of some painful situation. Maybe the cycle that you're just finishing has been painful, and this is a sign that it's over. For some of you, if you were drawn to this pile and you are an artist, this could signify utilizing your artistic skills and abilities to work through the pain through depicting it artistically. And then you have the Judgment key, which is beautiful. It's like reaping the benefits of what you've put into something. So again, it could be that throughout this cycle that is ending, the way that you showed up is now coming back to you, and all that work you put in, even if you weren't seeing the fruits of it at the time, is coming back to you. I also am now thinking it's interesting too that this is the one book I haven't read any part of. Like for pile 2 and 3, I've read the whole books all the way through, and for the first one I just started it and I'm like on chapter 2 now. This one I haven't read any piece of, so I think it's interesting too. It's like, oh my god, I'm thinking of that Natasha Bedingfield, the rest is still unwritten. The rest is still unwritten. So you have the Six of Pentacles, Justice, Two of Swords, and the Six of Wands. So you have 2 6 cards. That's interesting. These 2 cards both speak of balance with me. Six of Pentacles very much to me is about balance of give and take, and like what you put out in the world versus what you get back. And Justice is to me more about sort of that more unseen balance of like internal balance and balance within the universe of like the karmic balance even. And then you have the Two of Swords and the Six of Wands. So I feel like there's been something with this last cycle about finding balance in the way that you give and the way that you receive, and finding a way to do that harmoniously. And you may be in this place now of the Two of Swords of like being in the unknown of like kind of, it feels like the liminal space between 2 things. But just know that like victory is assured here with the Six of Wands. Like you will be successful, you will be even like seen and acknowledged for all that you've done in the past. Even the way, again, that you handled this cycle, the way that you showed up for it, and you will be rewarded for it. Like, if you think about it, this character is going to get a trophy, right? Because they just won. They were the victor. So it seems to me like you're doing a really good job of settling into this Two of Swords space of not knowing. What's a nice balancing point for group 4 during this time of navigating where they are in this process? How can they kind of come back to themselves and come back to to this place of acceptance of where they are, where they've been, where they're going, with absolute faith and trust in the process. The most important message for group 4, the greatest good and the greatest good of all beings everywhere. Okay, I wasn't going to read them, but I'm going to read them. This was at the bottom. It says, left hand to heart, right hand resting, spine tall. Breathe deeply into your belly. Expand, open throughout your body, and receive your breathing. This is how I share the blessing of trust with those who need it most. So remembering to breathe throughout this time to help you trust, to help you ground. And then you have, holding the most pressing current reality in your heart, how can you shift your vantage point in this moment? This is how my simplest shift in words. This is how my simplest shift in perception grants profound healing. Yeah, so I wonder if part of that is like, in order to ground yourself, just acknowledging these words as true, that where you're at right now is perfect. It's all going to work out. And your perception at this time, and the way you utilize it, what you focus on, basically, yeah, where you direct your mental focus is going to have a great deal of a say of where you end up. So, for example, to create the best outcome, maybe looking at your past experiences, and even if there was a struggle there, finding the silver lining. For the present moment, if you're struggling with your day-to-day reality, finding the little glimmers of goodness in each day and putting your attention there instead of on what's lacking. And even if you're aware of things that are lacking, it might even be helpful for you to just write them down, like what's missing in my life, so that you can then translate that into like, okay, if this feels like a lack, like, then what do I need to actually fulfill this thing? Because that lack is pointing to a genuine need of mine. And then in thinking of the future, you know, navigating through perhaps like a lack mentality or a fearful mentality of what's to come, of the unknown, shifting into like, how magical is it to have no idea what's next, and to have an experience that you don't even maybe know is a potential waiting for you on the other side of what it is that you're in now. Your other cards are my actions or prayers going up, and seated, hands on heart. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, bring gentle fists to hip points and bow forward, honoring. Remain there until ready to rise up. This is where I remain unshaken in my soul. Yeah, so the more that you can shift your focus onto like basically your prayer, what you're praying for, rather than your fears, you're giving more power to your faith in the divine, in the universe, in God, to grant you not only like boons of your wishes, but to even like top that, to top your wish even, and bring something even better. And that'll ground you. So having that trust, reclaiming that trust and that faith will be so powerful for you. And then some cards from Ashton's Oracle. You have self-destruction, so maybe there's a part of yourself, and the karma card, part of yourself and your karma that's finally ending. You're dying maybe onto some part of yourself. You gotta try again also. The most important messages for group 4, for their greatest good and the greatest good of all beings everywhere. Protect your ideas. Protect your energy and ideas. Spend less time around those who drain you of stamina and joy. Be careful of signing contracts with this work, it says. So maybe this is protecting like your dreams too, like not letting yourself settle for less than what you dream of, because your dreams might just be waiting for you on the other side of whatever this process is. You have physical activity at the bottom and honesty on the top, so just being honest with yourself about your body and its needs also can help you experience more of this confidence and faith when your body is taken care of. So is your mind and your emotions and your spiritual self. And especially with this being the solar plexus and this being the root chakra, both of those make me think of like getting actual movement to move energy through. So strengthening your core with the solar plexus, maybe getting some like aerobic exercise, getting your blood flowing, getting sweating, doing things to sort of invigorate and enliven your body so that you feel stronger and more able to take on anything. And then also to help you feel more grounded in your body in the physical world, where, yeah, nothing, it's like you're feeling unshaken. Like when you're, you know, deeply rooted and strong like an oak tree, like the winds of change don't really bother you because you're deeply rooted in yourself and your body and who you are in this experience. You have change. Something needs changing. Be fluid like a glass of water, cleansing a wetted paintbrush. Everything is built upon the shifting sands of time. Yeah, so beautiful. This definitely, there's some kind of destined change here with that 10, again, working the edge, the unknown. Something's changing. Tranquility, clear your space of noise pollution, or let stress melt away and just be tranquil. So I think a part of this is like silence, surrendering to silence, which is so hard for me too, and just so funny, like, that you're listening to this reading maybe because you're experiencing this liminal space and wanting some perspective and guidance, which hopefully I am doing for you. But like maybe like stop listening to the readings, stop listening to playlists and podcasts, and just like be in actual silence. And if that's really hard for you, maybe start by just playing like instrumental music, like Spanish guitar or piano, classical music, or like healing tones. Which I don't know, maybe you can hear it in the background. I've got some tones playing. But yeah, that will set you up. Like, I think the combination of moving your body and surrendering to silence will really help cultivate this sense of deep inner peace in you that will then translate into your next experience naturally. And then your final card is independence. Too much dependence on others for all your needs creates an energetic debt. Become powerfully independent. I think that's kind of cool with the change card too, that they kind of look like each other. Like maybe this was from the same set of paintings that Ashton did, because it looks like the same style and they're both buildings. So maybe that's also what's changing for you, or some cycles completing, and as this new cycle is coming in, like maybe independence will be more of a part of it and you're finding ways to be more independent. Something else that I'm thinking of is, okay, so I'm obsessed with Wheel of Time right now, the books. I started watching the show with my partner and it's honestly not as good. The books are really good, but anyway, every single chapter starts out with, shoot, I feel like I need to like just read it to you because I'm gonna read it. I have a couple of the books up here, hold on. So every book starts out with like the same lines that talk about change and cycles, because it's the Wheel of Time, right? So, it's in my box, so I gotta pull it out of the box. So, what does it say? The Wheel of Time turns and ages come and pass, leaving memories that become legend. Legends fade to myth, and even myth is long forgotten when the age that gave it birth comes again. Yada yada, in some age... Well, okay, in one age, called the third age by some, an age yet to come, an age long past, a wind rose among brown-thicketed hills in Carheen. The wind was not the beginning. There are neither beginnings nor endings to the turning of the Wheel of Time, but it was a beginning. So the part that I was thinking of is that ages come and pass, leaving memories that become legend, legend fade to myth, and even myth is long forgotten when the age that gave it birth comes again. So it's almost like this new age that you're coming into with that completion, the unknown, it's being birthed from the age that you were just in. So while it is a different cycle for you, it is a repetition somewhat of a cycle that you... Okay guys, my camera just died while I was talking to you, which we all know on this channel we take as symbolism. So what did we start off at the very beginning of this? Me saying that I needed to take a break and just like rest for a second before doing your reading. And now I have all this renewed energy and even excitement being here talking to you guys. Like I don't even want to stop moving around. I just wanted to stand on my chair this whole time. Stand on my little soapbox. So yeah, I guess a couple things with that. First of all, let yourself rest, be in this tranquility. Huge message. Please take that to heart. Please take it seriously. Take a bath, do meditation, be in silence. So important. A second part of that, I was talking to you about cycles from the Wheel of Time, and this might honestly look a little differently for some of you. I feel like for the most of you, you are working with a bigger cycle that is coming to an end and then restarting in some way. It could be a 10-year cycle, could be a 7-year cycle. My friend the other day was just talking about how every 7 years, like, all of our cells have changed, and how, like, in anthroposophy, that's like a huge, cyclical ending and beginning is 7 years. Another piece of this is just cyclical nature, especially if you are a woman. Cyclical nature is such a huge part of having this balance within yourself of like when to give and when to receive, when to go out and get it and when to rest. And I feel like, again, like re-looking at these tarot cards, I feel like that's another really big message for this group, is working with your cycles. So, and again, especially if you're a woman, men go through it too, but as a woman, like when you're bleeding, like how can you let yourself rest? Take that bath, get a little extra sleep, you know, give into your creature comforts. And then, you know, when you come out of it and you start naturally feeling more energy because you just rested, how can you then go out in the world and be reborn? And, you know, when you're ovulating, to then be like shining, to be that shining light that's, you know, giving speeches, giving presentations, going out in the world and meeting people and networking, before, you know, coming back into fall and wrapping things up and, you know, getting things stored away so that when you're bleeding again, that you can just relax and take it easy. So part of this could be working with those cycles. And again, for most of you, I do feel that this also is a really big turning of the actual wheel itself. So I was going to make those your last card. Besides, I've been doing tea leaves at the end of these for like question asking. I kind of want to pull you one more oracle card from the Lightworker Oracle. Yeah, as a message to you guys. The most important message from Spirit for Group 4, for their greatest good and the greatest good of all beings everywhere. The most important message for Group 4, for their greatest good and the greatest good of all beings. Okay, you had one fall out and a couple flip over. On the bottom you have the heart transmission and the family of light, so there might be some sort of like very heartfelt connection or healing with this. You have Star Child, Ascension, the Rainbow Bridge, with Dark Night of the Soul, and Spiritual Service. Man, this is wild. Some of these cards have just been repeated throughout the day. The Rainbow Bridge has been here multiple times. Spiritual Service has been here. Also, as a woman who also has cycles, I'll just say the reason I had to take a break is because I'm getting cramps out the wazoo. So if you see me dancing back here, it's because my uterus is screaming, and that's me trying to relieve the tension, is to move my body. So what I have been doing today with these oracle cards specifically is to read just the beginning sort of intro to each one, and then just holding up the book so that you can pause or screenshot to read the rest, because it's very long messages. And if I read all of them, all of these readings would be like an hour each, and I'm just not going to do that. So your first card, Star Child. The light of the stars exists in you. The earth wants you to share that light with humanity. You're asked to understand that you're meant to be here, that you have spiritual work to accomplish. Give up the idea that you belong somewhere else, to another home in the stars. Instead, let the starlight of your inner being shine here on earth, where it shall make such a positive difference in the world. Fall in love with Earth's beauty. She can and will support you in all ways. So, go ahead and pause or screenshot if you want to read this. Hopefully that's clear enough for you guys. Awesome. Dark Night of the Soul, we're going to start there with these three. You are ready for a more real and radiant relationship with the divine. Your preconceived ideas and safe limiting beliefs may be sacrificed in order for this to happen. To the divine, these are only the clothing of your spirit. They are impediments to the absolute intimacy the divine seeks with you. You might feel vulnerable or uncertain as the divine goes about stripping away these barriers. This is where you enter the dark night of the soul. You understand there is nothing to rely upon but the divine, and you will find it difficult to trust at times. This night will end, however, and the sweetness of the divine dawning in your heart shall render all worthwhile. But for now, you are meant to feel exactly as you feel. You are not doing anything wrong. You are moving closer to the divine. Beautiful. That card almost looked like it was glowing in the light, too. How beautiful is that? The radiant darkness. So feel free to pause or screenshot if you want to read this. I also just thought of that Trevor Hall song. I love it. I got to see him at Red Rocks live a few weeks ago, and he started with the song, I Have Everything I Need. So it's like basically two mantras. So it's like, I have everything I need. I have everything I need. From the mountain to the sea, all of this is within me. I have everything I need. So it repeats that a bunch, and then at the end it shifts, and it's so pretty, and he sings, the fruitful darkness is all around us. Over and over, and it's so pretty. I feel like that's a big message here. Listen to that song, listen to Trevor Hall. It's amazing. He's amazing. Okay, and then you have 18, Ascension, the Rainbow Bridge. Look at how different these energies look, too. It's like a night and day, quite literally like a night and day. Or like the rainbow after the rainstorm. It says, you have been growing spiritually and your consciousness is expanding. It is transforming your experience of the material world from something you must control or conquer into a living expression of the radiant divine. As your appreciation and love for the material world becomes more unconditional, so too does the light that can flow into your aura, chakras, and physical body. As you psychically expand, you may need more rest, healing, and meditation than usual to integrate this increasing degree of light and the consciousness it awakens within you. What was I saying, you guys? Rest, 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 rest. Okay. I feel like that's the change too, right? With like just the bright colors, the change, the independence, like all of the dark night and all that was happening in order to help you come into this energy that's more light and rainbowy and brilliant and independent. Oh, here's your message, by the way, if you want to screenshot or pause to read it. Okay. And your final message is spiritual service, which some of you might have done a spiritual service and said a nice little prayer for me when I said I was getting cramps because now I'm not feeling them anymore. Maybe your prayers are just really powerful. Also, I feel like I'm about to jinx myself and they're like just about to come back since I said that now. Spiritual service. Self-doubt can be a habit that is hard to break. It can slow down your spiritual progress and the fulfillment of your life purpose. Ultimately, it won't stop you, but it can make your progress seem more challenging. It's easier to fulfill your purpose when you acknowledge your own goodness and talent and do what you love to the best of your ability. Realize that you are enough, that your work is good, and that you have something of value to offer. It's time to let go of fear of failure, concern about your ability, and your right to live a happy and fulfilled life of success. The universe believes in you. I love that. And it's over tranquility. So part of that tranquility coming from trusting yourself, your abilities, your passions, and your connection to the divine, and trusting that it's all contributing to the greater good. And again, if you want to read the full message, just pause or screenshot the video. Awesome. So we're going to finish up your reading group 4 with some tea leaf cards. I never know how many are going to come out, but if you have any specific questions or concerns, feel free to ask. If you have a number that sticks out to you that you really like, maybe that number will be your card. Or if you're pretty visual, if you just, look at the cards I wrote down and there's one that you're like, that one's for me, then that one's for you. This one flipped over. I also think you guys just do things differently because the tea leaf cards are letting themselves out in a much different way. Woo! You don't get to see that. In a much different way than usual. Okay, group 4, we're going to keep you at 4. So whichever one sticks out to you, that's for you. Take a pause if you need to, because I'm going to start flipping them. So for the first one, we have Eagle, triumph over troubles and obstacles. The second one says Owl, good advice from a wise person. Love that. Am I that wise person? Can I be that owl for you? Also 2 birds, that's interesting, a lot of air energy. I also see them as like divine messengers. You have Claw, be careful, do not take risks. It also looks like a little bird claw to me. And then you have Inkpot, problems to be resolved. Okay, you guys, that was your message. I hope that you enjoy this liminal space and you make the most of it through being intentional, getting silent, doing some rejuvenating practices for yourself, self-care. And yeah, just being intentional with where you're placing your energy, your power, having faith and trust in the universe to get you where you need to go. So that's your message, group 4. I'm so grateful that you joined me here. If you benefited from this reading, feel free to give it a like and a subscribe. Leave a comment if you feel drawn to help the channel grow. And I really hope to see you next time. Or, I guess maybe not for you guys if you need to just chill and not listen to tarot videos to get your mind to be quiet. But maybe you can just not listen to the other ones and only listen to mine. Just kidding, there's some really good tarot readers out there. Anyway, we're just being goofy now. Thank you for being here. And blessings to you guys. Bye.